Welcome to the Leadership Shift, the podcast where we explore the transformative journey from management and control to leadership and inspiration. I am Aurélien Mangano, and I believe there is a moment in every leader career, sometimes quiet, sometimes dramatic, where everything changes. It's not about becoming a better manager. It's about a fundamental shift from managing tasks and controlling outcome to inspiring people and creating possibilities. Each episode, I sit down with leaders from different industry, different country, different walk of life, and explore their personal leadership journey. We will dive into their challenge, their breakthrough, and their honest struggle with what I really mean to lead. Today, I am joined by Angel Pereira, and I'm pretty sure I didn't tell it correctly. He is an executive coach. He was a former CEO of Citgo, and he wrote this great book that is From Hero to Villain, that is already became a bestseller. Welcome to the Leadership Shift, Angel.
Thank you, Aurélien. Thank you for having me here. And thank you for reading my book.
Yeah, not a problem. It's a great book, and I hope a lot of people that will listen will read your book because it's really amazing. So you were already a CEO of a major petroleum company before you were in prison. What was your vision of leadership before this experience?
Oh, that's a great question because today the way I see the leadership is totally different. Because when I was in my corporate world, I had that traditional look of what is a leadership. You know that you had to be committed to the goals and committed to the results and committed to if you have shareholder, committed to bring value to the shareholders, and that was that traditional way of looking at leadership. But when I went to this hostage situation that is today is very in top of the mind of the people, because I was a hostage of Maduro, and everybody know what happened finally with Maduro in January 3. So in those 5 years that I stayed in unjustly detained in prison, changed all my way I looked at leadership, because we were with political prisoners. We were not with normal prisoners. So we were people that normally are high-stake people. I had the opportunity to be in that dungeon with politicians, with journalists, militaries, a lot of people that, by the way, they have been released these days. They're being releasing after the transition, and many of these guys became my friends. But one of the things I understood during that time is that we were people that even the people that I used to see them in the TV. Now we are all in the same place, going through the same ordeal, and we discovered that the only way we could survive was getting together and connecting from the human side. So today, the way I look at leadership is more connected, is more human-centric, is more connected to create bonds with your team. Because anybody that's hearing this, picture this: you can be a major CEO of a major company, or maybe you have your own business, and you have your employees, and you have your management team, and you have your customers. Normally, you don't see them like you should see them. That they're literally kind of your family. Sometimes you spend more time with your management team than with your family. So why don't try to create a bond that you connect from the human side? Because when you connect from the human side, you not only create the bond, you create the trust, you create the loyalty, you transform the atmosphere of your business. And today, my coaching practice, that is one of the things that try to achieve, that the leaders understand that they need to connect with the people. Because sometimes one of the biggest mistakes a leader does is when you're in a leadership position, you create like a shield and you isolate yourself and you disconnect of your reality. Sometimes you're only hearing what your top management is saying. I'm not saying that they're not being a good advisor, but you have to hear the people too, your employees, what they're feeling, what's going on with them. And even in your management team, when you connect from the human side, you create a more empathetic environment if they're going through things in their life, because life is life. The people have problems. Maybe you have a top manager is going through a problem in his family and you don't know, and maybe his performance is low and you don't know why. So if you have the connection, that the guy can come to you and say, hey Jose, I'm going through this situation, and you try to deal with that. So it changed totally the perspective I had before of leadership.
Okay, so if I understand well, before you were more focused on the KPIs, the metrics, making sure that you have the business done. And when you had this experience, it's changed to, I see that the human side is essential. I really need to connect better. And were your result good before the imprisonment? I mean, how was it? Was it as you were expecting it, or you were more, okay, I do this because I know, I learned from school that it is like this, I learned from management that I need to control all this, and I follow a process to make sure that I execute exactly what needs to be done so I'm successful. Was it more this way before this experience?
Yeah. Normally, Aurelian, the leaders try to go by the book, on the traditional leadership books. I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong. You have to control the KPI. You have to deliver to your your duties. But when you do this in a holistic way, looking at people not as employees, not as management, looking them like kind of the part of your family. So you see them in a more empathetic way. It changed everything. It changed the atmosphere of your business. It changed the atmosphere of the relationship between you and your employees and your management team. And that not only creates the loyalty, as I said, we'll see it. Because when the customer comes, they will see employees more committed to the success, and more connected to them. And you can feel that. You can feel that when you go to a business and you see that the employees are happy and they attend you properly, you know that is a good business. So there is something good happening in that business.
Yeah.
And it's because of that. You connect with the human.
Yeah. And it is really something that I experienced. I mean, when I was in companies, all the employees were telling, we need to focus on this. And the management were pushing some other big, good ideas, but employee didn't understood really what it was and how it can bring so much value. So you need to have these two connections.
But that makes also, that is also, sorry, that is also key what you're saying. When you make a human connection, you have a better communication. So you can have a better connection to the employee, and they can understand better your vision.
And it is essential because it is not just the C-suite as a big idea that need to be pushed, but it's also the employee telling what needs to be done, and having this two-way conversation. Most leaders never faced anything like you experienced when you went to Venezuela. And how these 5 years fundamentally changed your understanding of leadership actually mean? Is there anything that except just the people, is it something very different that tell, okay, before I thought it was management, it was leadership, but it was management, and now I understand really what is leadership. Is it something new that you see from this experience?
Definitely. I say today that the true leadership is tested when you're pushed from your comfort zone. Because let me tell you, when everything is stable and everything is okay, anybody can be a leader. Things are going in a normal way, nothing happens, everything is on track. What happened when your floor begins to move? What happened when the things begin to change dramatically? There's where you're going to be tested if you are really a true leader or not. But the good news that I have to you is that I believe that everybody has that true unbreakable leadership inside. Everybody has it. First of all, because we are creatures of God. So everybody has that inside. After I came back, when you're going through any situation in your life, there will be like 4 phases. The first phase that you're going to have is you're going to deny it. This is not happening to me. And this is very human. This is very human. Saying this is wrong, this is not happening to me. That's the first phase. Then the timing between the denial and the acceptance will mark the difference. Because there are people that can move on quickly. There are people that can take some time to digest the situation, and there are people that will never move. They will stay there. And now there are 4 phases, and when something happened, I mentioned the first phase, that is the denial. I mentioned the second phase, that is the acceptance. I sent that the third one is the understanding what things you can control and the things that you cannot control. And when you identify that, you can focus in the things that you can take care. The same, and the fourth phase is when you decided to take action. There comes something key I always mention, that is something called the adaptability. When you decided to take action, you have to think that you need to adapt to the situation. Because, for example, in my case, Aurelian, when I was in my hostage situation, our things changed every day. Every day they did something different. And so you need to be aware that to adapt to the situation. This is something that you can mirror in your leadership experience. So when you're in front of a business, the things can change. And today world, the things change every day. Every day you see the things changing. So you need to adapt to the changes, because that is insane when you try to maintain the status quo when the situation has changed. So again, you need to be, you will gonna go through the denial, you need to go to the acceptance, you need to go to the understanding, the things you can control and you cannot control, and finally taking action. Those are the 4 phases in any leadership journey that today I have identified. And of course, there are many other things, like maintain your sanity, maintaining your focusness, maintaining your positivity, because this is something also key. Because even when I was in my hostage situation, even we were in that dark place, believe me, we tried to stay positive, because that changed you perfectly when you see the things in a more positive way. And this you can mirror to any business. So today, what I went through, that I crafted in a coaching program, you can mirror in any walk of life, in your personal life or in your business.
Okay. And I would like to ask you, because you had an extreme experience, but do you think you need to go to an experience of difficulties to be a leader? Because it seems that, according to some model, you need to have some heat, perhaps not at the level that you had, and I hope not everybody need to go to what you lived to become a better leader. But it seems that with a heat situation where you have struggled, where you don't know how to do, and go to this denial, adaptability, and you grow to the different phase to take action, it is something that I read in multiple models, like the universal leadership model. I don't know if you know about it. It is from the leadership circle. It is going from the reactive mode, where you are just trying to control the situation, to trying to see how I can address the situation with another mind than being just reactive, but find a creative solution. And is it
and let me tell you something, and I go back to what I begin talking about, the human connection. When you create the human connection, you create an environment in your company, in your business, that you're not alone. because now your employees are more connected to you. They become more loyal. They will give you an extra mile. And believe me, you don't know all the answers. This is a big mistake that leaders have, that they think they have all the answers. You don't have all the answers, my friend. So sometimes you're stuck in a problem, and maybe somebody of your team can have the solution for you. But if you never ask, if you don't have the connection with him, or that person said, this is a BS guy, I'm not going to say nothing, it makes the difference. So the human connection is key in everything, because that will create not only that change in the atmosphere, it will create the loyalty in the team, and the team will give the extra mile, and then will be coming creative solution from your team. The successful companies are those that do that. Many of the big success in some companies come from employees that have brought up the idea to the owner, and then boom, it becomes a big success. Sometimes it comes from the bottom to the top, not necessarily from the top to the bottom. So that makes really the difference. You don't have to go a situation like me, but you need to change your mindset and make you the question: how I'm handling this business. I'm doing in a reactive way, or I'm doing in a proactive way? How is my relation with my team? I am treating them fairly, or I'm being autocratic with them? Because let me tell you something. Today you can see a lot of autocratic leaders. That is true. But believe me, that is not sustainable in the time. The people that leave a legacy are not the autocrats, are the people that treat the people fairly. If not, talk about Gandhi, talk about Jesus, talk about Mandela, talk about Luther King, yesterday was his day, talk about those big leaders. Why the people remember them? Because they were an autocrat, or they were a true leaders? That is the question that I leave there to you.
And actually, I'm pretty deep into separating what is management and leadership. And management for me is more on the control. So leadership, autocratic is not a leadership style for me, it's a management style. Because you have to control, you make sure that things happen as it should be. Leadership is really for me more on the inspiration and influence, making sure that your team understand your why and what is the purpose.
Correct.
And making them sure that they find what is their how. And you are not the one that controls the how. You are the one that inspires the what and the why mainly. And do you think that thanks to this experience, because we will be thankful from this opportunity, we will tell, when you are in it, probably you are not so thankful. Do you think it accelerates your probably 10, 15 years of growth mindset and making you more leader? And if you didn't have this experience, you will never add this growth of leadership and never realize how important human.
The definite answer is a big yes. Let me tell you, the people sometimes believe that what I went through brought me back with bitterness, with sense of revenge, with sourness, and it was totally different. For me, it was not only a personal growth, was a spiritual growth, because I have an encounter with God. Today I'm very connected to my church. I truly believe that it was a boost in my faith. It was a boost in my relation with my family. It was a boost in my relation with God. So many things today are. I always say that I'm not grateful what I experienced. I'm grateful that what I learned through that experience. And this is something that the people that are hearing this have to think about. If you're going to any situation in your life or in your company and your business, and you think, oh, God abandoned me. Oh, I'm going in a bad moment. Maybe it's what he's doing is forging you, because sometimes you need to go through to some process to understand that you need to make change in your life. And I'm going to say you something else. I always make the comparison of my life before and after. My before, I was a self-centered guy, selfish, well, full of ego, have abandoned my family, a lot of bad things. After that, today, I see the life totally different. And believe me, that gives you more peace, because now you're more grateful for the things that are going in your life, and you see more that you really are following your calling, that gives you passion. So I did 30 plus years career in the oil and gas. That was experience I went through. I enjoyed it, but today, for me, that is part of my past.
Yeah, understand. And if you have to tell me from there, what are the skills that you build from this experience? Because I understand that you build a lot of things on the human side and things like this, but what skill did you learn from this heat experience, this difficult experience?
Well, for me, the most important is the capacity of being adapted to the situation. This is something that leaders don't normally cultivate, the adaptability. Sometimes the leaders are stuck in their beliefs and are stuck in their vision, stuck in what they want to do, and they keep knocking their head to the wall, and boom, boom. I'm not saying that you don't have to persist, because you need to persist, but you need to hear that inner voice that you have. Am I doing it right? Is it really what I want to do? Because this is another thing. Sometimes the people are doing something and they don't feel fulfillment. So make you the question, is that what you really want to do in your life? Is that your real purpose? Sometimes when you make that inner question, the answer that you will hear will be, no, this is not your calling. You have to do something different. So you need to begin to have that inner conversation with yourself. And again, everybody has that unbreakable leadership spirit inside. What you have to do is unleash it. How you do it? Believing in yourself and believing in God.
Yeah, thank you very much for this, because it's really resonating with me. It's not that you cannot learn, is are you able to open yourself to learn others and adapt according to the situation. And I watch you watch the Nicolas Maduro recently arrested after a decade of authoritarian rules. I wanted to have your mind on what you heard from the news, what you would like to highlight for people to understand better the situation, and is it better, or is it the same, or is it worse? What is happening now?
Well, this is a very complex situation. By the way, I because of my particular situation, that I was a political prisoner, and I also have been an oil and gas expert in Venezuela. And now that Trump is talking about bringing back the American companies to Venezuela, and I was there when the first time the American company came. So I have a particular view of the things that people are asking me to and I've been doing some conference related to that. I did I came yesterday for a conference in Miami talking about that, and I did one here in Houston, and I've been talking about this topic that I was done with the oil and gas, but for some reason it popped up again to me. So let me try to explain to your audience very briefly what's happening. Venezuela had more than 25 years with this regime. It started with Chavez and continued with Maduro. So we're talking about 25 years of a very autocratic leadership, very, very, not only autocratic, a leadership that really did a lot of damage to the country and to the people. They ruined the country. One of the biggest diaspora in the modern history is the Venezuelan diaspora. Almost 9 million people of a population of 30 had to leave the country because they were literally starving or with fear to get in jail or dead. That is the frame of the situation. The second thing that the people don't understand, that this guy, Nicolas Maduro, there was an election in July 2024, and he lost it. and he lost it for more than 70-30, for more than 40%, even with 9 million people outside the country that could not vote. Because if these people had voted, he would lost the election maybe 90-10, or so, with a difference of maybe 80%. So that means that the people didn't like that guy, and that guy stole the election. So that was not a president. That was a dictator that stole election. So this is very important that people understand this. We, the Venezuelan, stayed more than 25 years trying to take these guys out in a democratic way. We did more than 10 elections. We need more than 12 tables of dialogue supervised by the UN, the NATO, a lot of people. We did demonstration. We did a march of more than millions of people trying to take this guy out. Nothing worked because these guys took the power, and they were planning to stay there forever. So what happened today, that the people say, oh, the U.S. invaded Venezuela. No, they didn't invade Venezuela. They took out a communist regime that stole an election. And he was a narco-terrorist. So period. That's the first thing. This is not finished because the way these guys created the structure of the apparatus, the regime, it acts more as a mob than a government. They act like the Italian Cosa Nostra, like the mob. These guys act like a mob. It's an organization like the mob. That organization is still there. So that's why today the U.S. is talking about a transition. Because there had to be a transition to first to stabilize the country. Why? People are not aware. But if you go inside Venezuela, there are a lot of irregular people, like we have in Venezuela today, people from Hamas, Hezbollah, the Colombian guerrilla. We have something they call the colectivo, that there are armed civil people. They have the militias, they have the military. So they have a lot of people that they are in charge to put fear in the population to keep the government. These people are still there. So there's had to be a transition to clean up everything and then have new elections to have the return of the democracy. It's going to take time. It's not. This is a very complex process, and they're talking about bringing back the American oil and gas companies. I was in the 90s. I was an officer in the 90s where all the American companies came to Venezuela. When Exxon, Conoco, Shell, Chevron, all the big majors came, they're going to come back. They want their asset to be returned because they were expropriated in the 90s. So they want their asset back. They want to restart their operation. And if this is done properly, my friend, Venezuela, we're going to have brilliant days in the future. If this is done properly, Venezuela, as Maria Corina Machado, that is the leader of the opposition, is saying, is going to become the energy hub of the Americas. And I truly believe it. I truly believe it.
Yeah, I mean, if you know that it is the biggest reserve of oil and gas in the world, you should be like Dubai or Emirates.
We can be
Arab.
like
I mean,
a Latin American Dubai if this is done properly. If it is done properly.
Yeah. And do you think, I mean, because it's a question that I have a lot with people around me, if we send back the company over there, will it not be the same as what it was? They will put the new things, it will work because Trump is very concerned about Venezuela and work on it. But what will happen when it changes? I mean, it's in 3 years. We will have probably another government and will it have the same concern? You see what I mean?
To make this successful, and let me tell you, when Trump had that big meeting with the mayors in the White House a couple of days ago, the spokesman was the ExxonMobil CEO, And he was very clear what he said. He said, we love what you're doing, we support you, but we're not going to do nothing in the current situation because Venezuela today is uninvestable. That was the word he used, uninvestable. And that is true. They had to change not only the regime, they had to dismantle the apparatus, do new elections, new people with a fresh view, like Maria Corina Machado, that is the true leader of Venezuela, that they stole the election, and she's a smart lady with a very business-oriented mentality, because she comes from a family of business people. So she knows how to run a business. She's a true leader. And the second thing, she has been leading this process. And the third thing is that they had to change all the legislation to bring stability, to bring security, and to bring all the support for that foreign company. If all this done properly, Venezuela is going to become the Dubai of the Americas.
Great, great. So I would like to ask you two last questions, because there is one question that is my interview and one that is the mirror question. I ask every leader to, at the end of the meeting, to give me a mirror question that help to ask to the next person. So Jose, you now work with leaders through your coaching practice. When an executive comes to you who never faced real adversity, never been tested with difficulties, what's the essence of what you are trying to help them discover, what they learn from this experience? Do you share your experience? Do you push them into this difficult situation to really build this leadership?
Yes,
How
yes.
you help them?
My coaching practice exactly is what you're saying. I don't have a normal coaching practice. Sometimes it's kind of uncomfortable because I try to confirm themselves, because I try to put them in a situation that I went through, so they can understand how is their thought thinking and their thought process, how they are being as leaders. And let me tell you, some of them have to go back even to their families, because one of the things that a part of my coaching practice is that having a perfect balance between your business success and your personal fulfillment, because this is something that I experienced by myself. Let me tell you, my friend, everything that today teaches, because I learned it in the hard way. So and it worked, by the way. It worked because I'm here. So it's not a manual, it's not a book, it's my life experience. So one of the things I ask them, the hard question, how is your personal life? Because this is something, unfortunately, most leaders are maybe leaders in their company, but not in their families. So they're having family issues. So the first thing, I make that uncomfortable question: how is your personal life? And the good news is I have some guys that have even restored their marriage after this. They have come back and then they have restored their marriage. Yes. Yes.
So you put them in a situation that stress them and you help their marriage into it.
Yes.
So it's great. Great. Sure. Thank you very much, Jose Angel.